A very good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Gayatri, and I'm from uLaw's Client Success Team. I also host a lot of webinars. I'm here today to present to all of you one of our most popular webinars, which is Everything Practice Management. I had Ms. Susan give me a list of things that she'd like you all to watch today. So I felt Everything Practice Management, something that would cover all of it. And also keeping in mind, this is a CPD topic, so it should definitely be helpful for all of you. And this session's being recorded. It'll be a live probably maybe in our YouTube channel as early as maybe Monday. If any of your friends haven't watched this today, they can always log into the YouTube and see it over there. I request each of you to use chat window at any point in time when you have any questions. Do not hesitate. I would probably take a pause in between and take a look at the chat window and answer them right away, or keep it to the end and answer it at the last. The session's typically about 90 minutes, but I'm going to try and keep it to about an hour, and so that we can spend about 15 minutes on Q&A and chat about any additional questions you would have. I would not be doing complete presentation. I would do a partial presentation here using the slides, and then we will jump into uLaw using how the program really works and stuff, right? Okay, great. I hope the audio is clear. For the ones who find the audio is not clear, please let me know on the chat window. I could probably give you the phone audio coordinates too. Great. I see more people joining in. Don't panic that the program started or the webinar started. We will be having the recording sent to you on the link other than the YouTube channel. Perfect. So I'm going to be covering basically a few things today that includes right from client intake to matter management or file management to accounting and financial management. And also, how do you run your business efficiently, including calendars, time management, personal management, professional management, and keeping in mind the most important part here is the financial management. So you probably see me spending more time on that block, but also the rest of them are equally important. So kickstarting it with client management. As you all know, there are different methods in which you could intake a client. Maybe a paper pen method when someone's walking into your office, old school little, but people still prefer that, so that there's a face-to-face communication with your client and you get to kind of know them and stuff like that, but which is where the client intake basically starts. And your first point of contact with your client. So client intake service and communication, keeping in mind there are several methods in which you can intake them, but what are the points you have to cover when it comes to client intake service and communication? We're going to see that being first step towards also keeping yourself compliant with Law Society, considering these are all professional obligations. What does Law Society as a professional requires you to do? Whether you're a paralegal, you're a lawyer, you're working with an in-house and you're looking to help them be compliant, whatever. But as a professional obligation that you need to fulfill for a client intake service and communication, collecting the details, very important. Making sure you're recording all the details, very, very important. Ensuring that you've completed the conflict check. When you onboard a client, ensure that there is no single conflict with them, whether it's a related party, whether it's maybe something to do with a joint retainer that has a conflict. There could be any sort of conflict arising there, but you need to carefully watch upon that and note it down so that you are not disclosing any confidential information to such people. And third thing is when there's a client reaching out to you, you onboard them, you intake the client by asking them to fill out the form, whether it's online, paper pen method, sending them a link, asking them to use the portal. Now, if you're using uLaw, there are several ways that I just discussed, including using the uLaw's client portal to onboard them, which is little tech-savvy clients can only probably use it. The ones who are not comfortable using such links, you could obviously send them like a little client intake form, ask them to fill it out, or even worse, if someone's not accessing their emails, well, you can print out the form, have it in your office, ask them to fill it out. But bottom line of the story, important to record the details, conflict check, and then comes to the point where you determine the fee, determine the method in which you're collecting the fee. Are you doing a trust account fee collection, or are you doing a general account fee collection? Which means that whether you have a trust or a general is compulsory at least, because you cannot run a business without a general business account. But trust is not compulsory unless and until you do a certain type of practice. And of course, if you're doing a real estate or something, it's much important. But being a paralegal, certain paralegals prefer to hold a trust account so that they can secure the money and make sure that they're not putting it to use. So they can collect deposits in the form of retainers into the trust account and then provide a receipt so that the money is safe in the trust account. And only upon completing the work, they would bill it out and take it into the general account, then becomes your own money. Until then, it is your client's money when it's in the trust account. It is a liability, okay? So basically, I would talk about that when it comes to the accounting part, but basically determining the fees and providing them with the receipts, ensuring you provide them with an engagement letter and a retainer letter. If you are not engaging them, very important to also provide a non-engagement letter. These are some documents in the preliminary stages where when you engage with them is important. One of the most important documents that is like a binding agreement between you and your client is the retainer agreement. Now, the retainer agreement is typically one of the first documents that you agree upon with each other and sign. And it holds you responsible, for each other's act. So when you draft a document like retainer agreement, you're required to keep in mind certain points such as the nature and scope, the responsibilities of both of you, and I mean both of you, you and your client, and the method of communication. What is your, what are the retainer arrangements? How are they paying it? Is there any, are you planning to provide them any specific method in which you require them to pay it? Or is there any termination details? What happens if they decide to terminate the contract or you decide to terminate the contract? And also making sure any risks associated with this particular method of communication that you're putting it down. So basically, a retainer agreement can go from one page to X number of pages that you prefer, but keeping it very short and crisp so that your client doesn't get carried forward with that big document you're giving them. So make sure that, you cover as many points as possible, but at the same time, keeping them short is important. So once you're done with the client intake, service, and communication, then comes into picture the file management. File management is more noticed as matter management. When there's a file that's open, first thing that comes into mind is having a checklist. Whether there's a client onboarding done, a conflict check done, whether the file numbers has been created, whether these have been chronologically secured and organized. If your client's file has two different matters, are they probably given two different titles, two different file numbers? Are they properly organized, cross-indexed? Everything counts. So that at the end of the day, you don't mix it up. You don't enter dockets or retainer amounts or invoices, anything. You don't mix them up. That's one of the most important points to keep in mind when you have a separate file for each and every respective matter, even if it's the same client who comes back to you the second time. These are small tips that I could give you in order to keep yourself professionally, maintaining these files, and in order to keep yourself compliant with Law Society too, so that you don't juggle with these numbers between files. There could be two different clients with same names. How do you identify them? Obviously, because they have two different file numbers. They have probably their conflict checks shows you very clearly the details of their addresses, their personal details, so which will help you to determine that they are not the two different people. They're not basically having the same details, right? So you can identify their information, and that way you could manage your file better. So make sure you have a checklist from day one, and that would help you to assign all your details and make sure you track them also. While you have your file management in place, you are able to also do your docketing and billing into it. So when you do your docketing and billing, then comes into picture the financial management. Obviously, when you raise a bill, then there's an AR. When there's an AR, you get the payment from your client. When there's a payment, obviously, the bank comes into picture. When a bank comes into picture, there's the financial management involved in it. You need to make sure that your fee and scheduling, whether your hourly bill rates or whether it's a flat rate, you're going to determine all of those even before you raise an invoice. So when you raise an invoice, you're able to deliver it to the client, explain to them that, there is a specified time that is involved in making the payment. Most of them have a nice one-liner at the bottom that says, pay within 90 days or pay within 60 days. There's a collection period specified for that. And you're also able to track any underpayments, overpayments, anything that's pending. If you're using a specific practice management system, that would help you to understand all of this. And recording of general accounts through the receipts and disbursement entries, very, very important. And maintenance of original bank statements. When you have everything online today, including your banks, you don't have to literally, print them out and put them in a file, just unless it's needed, if you're being audited or something. But today, everything is being put on the cloud. You have your original bank statements, download them, keep it in the drive or keep it in your cloud safely, so that, even if you're being audited at that moment, you can just download them, send it to the auditor, or even maintain it for your own reconciliation purposes, any canceled checks, duplicate checks. These are just part of your financial management, because at the end of the day, whether it's your auditor or accountant, everything is handy, so you'll be able to do your necessary financials end of the month, end of the year, end of the quarter, depending upon your requirements. As you move on further, this is done not purely just for your compliance sake, but also to gauge your own firm's health, right? You would like to know your firm's balance sheet, whether you're at profit, whether you're at loss, your income and expense statement. you're able to plan your budget properly. There's so many factors involved in here that helps you to prepare your financial statements, keeping in mind legal, financial management goals that you can set for yourself. Also that, there are a lot of these things that are mandatory by the law society. Like, for example, when you raise an invoice, you will have to issue the invoice to your client, without which you cannot move the money from trust to the general. It's one of the most important points to keep in mind when you have both trust and general accounts. Besides that, you also have, when your file is prolonging for more than a quarter, you are required to raise specific statements such as settlement statements or summary or any of these fee book invoices that are required for your clients to view in that long run of 3 months to 6 months or 1 year, whatever. Anything above a quarter, basically. Now, over here, we also have business management, keeping in mind software that you are required to use and whether it's being secured. You have a regular backup being done, and also keeping all your mobile devices secured and remotely able to access emails and voice messages. Now, when it comes to business management, there's also calendar involved in here, where you could use a small tickler system now if you're using uLaw, or if you've seen at least how uLaw works. We have something called Scratchpad, where you could manage your time, your personal time, your professional time, your business even better with having such tickler systems to assign dockets to your respective matters right away from the Scratchpad. That saves you time, that saves you also back and forth of getting into the matter, getting out of the matter. Now, besides that, you also have to make sure that you're able to efficiently use a legal software. Now, there's a difference between using an accounting software or using just a spreadsheet versus using a legal software. Obviously, a legal software would enable you to docket, enable you to assign that dockets to calendars, to do tasks, and vice versa. You can also go from a calendar to the file. They're all secured. They're all backed up. Today, everything is on cloud. You're not required to even, take a backup at your end unless you're, using a outdated desktop version and not a cloud version or a cloud-based software. And, like we all know that in today's world, especially post, COVID, we have everything on a remote access. So one fine day you wake up and you know that you're not going to your workplace anymore, but you want to still be able to have everything in your particular cloud, storage, or maybe in your own remote access, VPN, etc. There's so many of these things that you could implement for your business or for your practice so that you would be able to manage your business more efficiently and more effectively, more than that, more professionally than, you would be able to think of. So while we spoke about business management, financial management, keeping in mind how you can, draw your invoices and assign it to the particular client to be paying any balance amount anything that you could move from trust to the general. Everything requires invoicing as one of the basic steps, because only if you invoice you can move around the money, or you can get the money into the general, or you can move the money from trust to the general. All of these counts part of this. Now, while we were able to engage with the client and complete the invoicing part, managing the business, we are also required to maintain professional obligations for professional management, keeping in mind completing your regular CPD hours, making sure once you are done with your school and you're done with your bar exams, you have your membership renewed or membership registered at membership associations at your respective PAs. And we also have the new legislations and case laws being reviewed from time to time. And last but not the least, reviewing all the professional conduct guidelines. We have everything from end to end that needs your attention to also manage yourself professionally, able to meet the goals. Many of us tend to miss this. Some of us make sure to keep it in mind and complete the process. So there are stipulated hours that you will have to complete when you are a professional to keep in mind. You do all of those professional obligations. So please ensure that you're requiring to complete them from time to time. I also would stress upon, financial management when it comes to preparing the ledgers or journals or monthly reconciliations. Again, if you're using a program that is a legal practice management software like uLaw, you would have all of these in a single click. You don't have to even worry about making these yourself. But however, if you're someone who is using maybe Excel spreadsheet, or if you're using let me say any other software that's not a legal practice management, then you will have to work on these manually yourself. So please make sure that you are, you're probably looking at a legal practice management software that would help you to do all of this yourself. And personal management. I'll come to the time management after the personal management so that we're done with the professional management, personal, and then I'll come to time. When it comes to personal management, again, I know I don't have to talk about this, but I'll just go through this with you all quickly, keeping in mind this is also a part of professional obligation. When it comes to personal management, make sure that you're enjoying your practice or your area of practice that you've selected. There's a significant growth, progress, and success in your practice. And you're also able to record the time you've spent at work and vacation taken. This is why we sync the calendars. So you have, end of the day, you have a professional calendar and a personal calendar. And sometimes people sync your calendar so that you can keep a tab on what exactly you're required to do at this particular moment. And you're able to also witness the same. And ensuring that there's a proper work-life balance. This is something that I really want to stress upon, but I'm not going to, again, bore you all, because we all are in the same boat, trying to manage the stress, trying to keep in mind that we have to somehow establish a proper work-life balance, so that, once that is achieved, I feel the output is automatically going to, increase and make things much better. With that, in the same line, time management. Now, a lot of us today manage time better by, either keeping calendars handy, or you all have a make to-do list, or you have some sort of file management in place. Because end of the day, your file management, your client management, your financial management, all put together becomes the best of the time management. So when you feel that your time management needs to improvise, try one of these methods where you could either sync your calendars, or you could have your to-do list handy, which is synchronized to the matters, and you could understand what is coming up in the next few days. Now, besides that, a lot of us also docket non-billable hours, which means that you're not billing any client for this particular time that you've worked on, but it is for you to check the firm's health, the personal goals, that sometimes these are also termed as pro bono hours that you've worked on to enhance your firm's overall productivity. So please keep in mind that time management is put together with a combination of efficient business management and efficient personal management, so that end of the day, you're able to manage yourself, your business, because most of the times we are sole practitioners and we tend to miss out on these minute points. But if you ever tend to start your own firm out of this paralegal school and you want to, really do it, then I would say keep in mind all these points that we discussed now. Your right from intaking a client to completing the reconciliations, maintaining the calendars, and all the active files, marking them right when you go through it. Once you're done with the file, mark them religiously as done. It's not active anymore. You're done with the file, so it goes into the other bucket, and it doesn't require your attention anymore. That by itself helps you, gain a lot of time. Now, just going to pause a moment before I go on with the benefits of practice management. Susan, any questions from any of your students?
Hi. So I am just wondering or hoping that you're going to actually show us how the software, how we utilize the software to be able to,
that's exactly where I'm going into the next 1 minute.
Wonderful. Okay.
That's exactly what I'm going to do the next 30 minutes.
Okay, that is wonderful.
All right? Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm going to do, Susan, is that I'm going to pick a contact, like a dummy contact. I'm going to basically show you how to create a contact, how to open a file, how to docket, how to invoice, how to collect retainer, how to move money from trust to the general, how to collect remaining balance into the general directly without touching the trust, and also how you could record a few expenses, disbursements, and show you all the ledgers and journals and other documents. This is what I'm going to do in the next 20 minutes.
Okay. Are you able to touch on calendars and tickers as well? Reminders, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
I'll do that. I have your 5 points in mind already.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. We will look forward to it.
You're welcome. I hope my audio is clear and everything else so far has been okay.
Okay. Super.
Perfect. Okay. So, now I don't know if your students have uLaw to practice at their end, but this is what it is, guys. This is how uLaw looks. This is the dashboard. Once you log in, you're seeing the dashboard. Now, dashboard is typically what you record in the respective clients' matters. They're just pop-ups. They're just updates. But for you to see those, you have to start adding information. So you start off with the contact, add new client, or add a new contact. It could be anybody. It simply could be a vendor. It could be a plaintiff, defendant, representative, anything, right? Anyone. But when you're doing other than client, you would click on add new contact. But when you're adding a new client specifically, you could either do it from add new client, or you could do it under add new contact and add new client too. So both the ways. There's client portals. You could also use a client portal to send your client a link and ask them to fill it out. And right over here, I'm going to click on add new client and add them manually. So click on add new client, and then you will see this page coming up. You can add a new client's information. And then you would enter the client's information as to how they reached out to you, any information additionally they've provided. You can enter that. You can also enter the details and save it. So once you've saved it, you're going to be able to click on action, complete the conflict check, because you don't want to miss out on any points. You want to ensure that everything is intact before you go ahead and create the file. It takes about a minute for the document to come up. Once it's here, you just click on any similar names. Then you want to ensure, I can see there's another Kelly George here. I specifically took the same name, just so that you can go back into uLaw and refresh and see who is the other same name here. If this is not the same person, you would obviously go through, the details of their address, phone number, and everything. So this is not the same person. You confirm that, then you can go ahead. Just for the sake of it, right now I'm just changing the name so that we could create a new client matter. Okay, so now I can create a new matter, enter the matter title. And then you can choose the area of practice. There are different area of practices, small claims, landlord tenant code. Now, because it's a traffic rate, I'm choosing POA. Any code file number, enter it over here. Any matter description, could enter that here. Hourly rates, very important. If you're someone who charges by the hour, if you have an assistant, then you can enter that here. Fee cap, ignore if you don't want to cap the fee. And then default tax rates are assigned to your particular provinces. Right now, I'm going to click on matter events. That's where I am. I'm not clicking on it, but that's the page I am. I'm going to click on event title, say that I met the client, and I did the client intake. It took me about 36 minutes, and I'm not charging my client anything. It is called autofill pro bono because I want to give them the first meeting for free. And then the next one, I worked on some drafting. It took me about a couple of hours. I want to charge my client all of that. Billable time is a tiny little drop down, autofill billable. If you have to add the description, you can record it into the mic. You can use our AI tools. You could summarize the notes, and you can keep going on. That's the the docketing part of it. It's pretty simple. Let me also show you a flat rate docket. So there's billable time again, drop down, change it to flat rate. Let's say this is a legal fee, and we're charging them 500 and save it. Now, you click on this person's retainer, click on new retainer. There are different tabs here, as you all see. That the tab that you're currently on turns green when you click on it. So which means the tab you need to take action also turns green. Now I'm going to add a new disbursement and show you all how it looks. The different types of disbursements, you can directly pay from trust, or you pay from general, or you pay from general but for actual amount, or for any profit-oriented amount, any miscellaneous amounts. So I'm just taking straightforward and simple one that says pay disbursements from general, which means that I'm paying the disbursements from general. It could be actual, it could be anything with profit. Let's say I'm doing a simple courier and that took me about 25 bucks. I'm charging my client the same amount. How did you pay for it? I used my credit card, business credit card, and I want to record the payment instructions, everything that went on it, and save it. Watch me very carefully. I did the matter events. I did the dockets from the matter events. I added the disbursements from disbursements and retainer. As the name suggests to you all, I also can add the retainer from here. So for me to add the retainer, I want to make sure that I first give my client a retainer agreement. So I go into compliance right on the top and download a ready retainer letter. Just punch in the number that I want to ask them. Right, the amount, not the number. So when I ask them for a $500 retainer, or uLaw is able to draft you a nice retainer letter with all the points keeping in mind the Law Society compliances, and you could just, keep going on with that. You just have to sign. You have to sign and file it. Once that's done, your client pays you the new retainer, $500. They just email transfer you. You have the reference number. You want to add them here because it obviously helps you with the financial management and all the reconciliation and other things that Law Society requires you. Most importantly, give them a receipt upon collecting the retainer. Click on download. It's the letter, is the receipt. You issue it to the client, and then you move on. So you have added the dockets. Okay, let me come back from the first. You've created the client from the contact, add new client. You've done the conflict check by clicking on action, and then you clicked on matter, so the matter button opened up into the matter page. You added the matter title, what was the issue, what was the traffic ticket number, any additional details, the amount that you're going to charge them hourly. You have all of them entered in, and then you started adding the dockets at the bottom. You choose whether it is a flat rate or billable time or pro bono, whatever according to your requirement. Once you're done with that, you go into the disbursements retainer, enter any disbursements if there is anything. And you also have the compliance tab to download a retainer letter, send it to them. Then you have a new retainer entered in. Once you have that, you can then move on to invoicing the client. Now there's a little invoice option on the top where you could enter click on the invoice. Complete, skip preview, and invoice. I'm skipping preview just to save time, but you all can do the preview. Keeping in mind, eco-friendly invoice if you want to hide the summary details, you want specific theme, you could just play around with all of those. And then you download it. Once you have the invoice in place, you could do a couple of things. You can send the invoice to your client. If there's anything pending for them to pay you, which is like there's any balance amount due, you obviously ask them to pay you that amount. And if there's, like for in this case, there's an amount due of $545.25, right? So they can pay you everything into the general directly because that you have completed the work and released the invoice. Now, if you have not completed the work, then you can get the money into the trust account directly. Now, when I click on question mark, uLaw tells me that I have a deposit of 500 in trust. I've invoiced the client for 1045.25. Now there's a pending trust transfer that you need to do from trust to the general. Once you're done with that, then you can collect the money into the general account as well directly, because you're done with the work that you raised an invoice. When you're done with the work is when you raise the invoice. So please click on transfer. Enter the transfer number, very important, so that you can generate a Form 9A. These are some things that Law Society again expects you to do, and we also have them handy, which is available in uLaw. Form 9A. Whenever you do a transfer from trust to the general, you have a Form 9A. Okay, so that keeps you handy here. Right, I have someone here entering some information on the chat. Josie, yes, yeah, I'm showing you how to create invoices and also transfer money from trust to general, how to create a file, and then I'm going to also show you how to add expenses, disbursements, etc. Wondering if you'll be able to touch client intake. Client intake is what we did initially with adding the client information and doing the, the little conflict check. Yeah. There's docketing and bill preparation is what I just did. I'm going to touch upon calendar and ticklers and document management in next 5 minutes. When you mean docketing and bill preparation, is there anything that I have missed, Susan? Anything that you would like me to go over? Please unmute yourself.
No, I think it's just maybe a little bit fast for some of the students to sort of grasp the concept, and I know that in the interest of time, because this is normally, like you said, a 90-minute presentation, and you're trying to condense it. So I think maybe if you could just maybe review that stuff again, that would
perfect. Be I will. No, I will certainly review the stuff again.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will do that again. I'm
okay.
Sorry if I'm a little too fast. I can stop and review it. The thing is, I'll have to cover many features in that time, so that's the reason, because everything practice management is a little lengthy topic. I'll try my best. I'll go over it again. Okay.
Oh yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So under client intake, we do have a couple of more features that I could probably go over with you all if you're so interested in client intake alone. Let's say that I did something manually here by clicking on add new client, but we also have a client portal. We also have something called document generation and client intake under it, where you could just simply download the form. So again, I'm under contact. I'm under document generation. I'm clicking on client intake and downloading it to send it to my client. And this is how the form is going to look. They're going to enter the details and get the details sent to you. Once it's sent to you, you're going to obviously validate the features validate the details that's entered in here. And once everything is done, then you can go back into uLaw, click on import contact, and upload the client intake form that they have prepared over here. Once they have sent it to you, all that you have to do is simply click on upload client intake form and choose the file that you've downloaded and upload it over here. There's another method in which you could enter the client information is through client portal, where you could just simply add the information let's say for an instance that I would like to use my email ID over here, which is your client. In your case, it's your client's email ID. And then you send them a link and to yourself too. You can also copy a link. You can probably go back in there and simply click on start here, and your client will start adding the information, right? So this is where they would say, you know, I'd like to enter all the stuff related to me and myself, my details. Once that's done, they enter the information that is mandatory at least. Okay. And then they authorize. They say, I'm not a robot, and sign it. Okay. Not sure why it didn't go through. Okay, there you go. It's a small pop-up. Then they go ahead and submit it. Yes, uLaw calendar and tickler would be appreciated. Sure, I'm going to get into that in the next 2-3 minutes. Okay, so we are now back into uLaw because we got an email saying that you have a new client, their name, their number, their email. Please go on to uLaw app and verify the rest of the information and start creating the matter. Okay, now you can go back into uLaw. Simply look for Ben, just refresh the page. And click on search, enter Ben's name, and you'll find the details right here. Ben George, the one that we just added. You can click on open matter. Again, enter the matter title. So let's say this one was red light camera. And you add your hourly rate, your assistant's hourly rate, save it. Docketing all happens from the same page that you are in. So whether it's a legal fee flat rate or a billable time, please enter them and save it. Okay, now you click on disbursements retainer. Once you've given them the retainer letter, please make sure you collect the retainer. Then you can add them into the trust account. Also give them a receipt. Everything is handy and accessible. And click download. Now that's done from the part of retainer. You've got the docket. You want to do a disbursement. Click on Add New Disbursement, Paid from Trust. Sometimes you directly pay disbursement from trust. So let's say this was a direct disbursement paid from trust. You enter a check and give a check number. Description would be, let's say, check or court fee. To courthouse payments. That's it. Now you're done with this part. So you're going to click on invoice and complete the invoice and move on. So this is about the docketing and billing part, guys. Now I want to move on to calendar and tickler because a lot of you have been asking for the same. Just want to wait for the invoice to be generated. Now that's the invoice. You have all the details on the invoice, including the legal fee amount, total invoice, the balance in the trust. You also have the information here, including the email transfer references. When you go back into uLaw, just want to show you all how the accounts looks with the information that I added in today. So you could see there's trust. The trust is where you received the 1,500 for the respective amounts that I just got, and also disbursed $300 for the court fee. Okay, so that's with the matters. Moving on to calendars. Now, calendar in uLaw, you can synchronize it with Google Calendar. I don't know how many of you know that. You can sync it with your calendar. Sign in with Google, and you can just simply synchronize your calendars. And once you give them access, you just have to make sure that you're signed in. Once you sign in, then you can sync it. Then you also have to ensure that under the settings, you're able to enter it. So when you click on the calendar, you can just add directly into the matter too. And you can say I have a court hearing. And you can also go add it into the matter. So let's say I want to add it into the matter that we just opened Ben Josh. Then click on save. And then when I go into the matter, you would see there's a new event that says court hearing on the coming date. So it's pretty straightforward. If you synchronize, obviously it will show your dockets or events into your personal calendar, but it's available only for Google, right? Now, along with it, we also have Scratchpad, which is very similar to Tickler system, where by default there is a row, but you can keep adding rows for different matters that you plan to work on today. Let's say you have one court hearing, one client meeting, and then you're also working on a files drafting, a document drafting. And then let's say you're also working on, a client intake, right? Now, all of these put together, you want to add them all at one go. So you can just click on take action, add new event. This goes into add matter, Ben Josh, the matter that we were working on, or the previous one that we worked on here. And then maybe this one you want to take action, add it to new event. You can go into Ben. So you can keep adding as you progress. Now this is what we have very similar to Tickler system over here. It's not that, you can probably, do it from the matter too. But when you do it from here, you're saving more time in order to work on the file, because you can work on multiple files and still continue doing this over here. So it's very similar to Tickler system. And once you're done with all of these, you can just simply clear all daily dockets. And then you can go back into the matter that you were working on that has been added. click on matters here, and you'll see that is automatically showing up here. I just added this client meeting into Ben George, and then I also added, I think, court hearing into Kia George. So you'd see court hearing over there as well. So both of these there, including billable time, you can assign everything right from there on the top. Now in the calendar, you can also enter to-do list. So let's say you only want to add them here under matters, add new event. Let's say you're going to, meet up with the client or, have a client meeting. You just have to make sure that you add in their details here. And then for a future date, then you're putting it under to do so that it goes into your calendar. At the same time, it also goes into your dashboard to do event. Now, with regards to calendar, is there any specific question that I could address, Susan? Now, the court hearing that I just added is showing up here. If you all can see, Ben George court hearing. Okay, Susan, are you there with me? Any specific question on calendar? We can see all the month and week agenda over here. You can synchronize the calendar by simply clicking on the drop-down option. You can use the scratch pad over here. Most importantly, you can also use the action button to review all your documents, timesheet, revenue by employee, timesheet by employee, all of them. Other than that, we also have the other thing I wanted to show you all over here is that the document management. So we have our cloud storage with documents for document storage with Google Drive and OneDrive. So I've synchronized my document storage with Google Drive, where I can just simply add in my file and just see all of those dockets here. So you can go into uLaw, you can click on authorize. It'll allow me to sign in into my particular Google Drive, open the drive, and then you would see there's the uLaw folder over there. And then you can just simply add in the matters here. So for the Ben George matter, which I'm currently there on, you can just simply click on BG, probably which matter, okay, on Kia George. So it's going to be KG over here, and just look for the file. Yeah, that's the one. So you can just, all the documents I just created right now for Kia, I can just add them all here and put it in there so that when I go back into uLaw, the 4 items that I've uploaded would automatically show over here once I click on refresh. So that is easily accessible from here. So document management is pretty easy and simple with cloud storage that is synchronized with uLaw, and it's helpful for all of you too. Now, besides that, all the documents are available readily under document generation, compliances, code forms, letters, statements, everything that you see here, which are under document generation, are available for your ready use. Now, besides that, have I missed out on anything? I have touched upon client intake, document management, docketing, bill preparation, calendars and ticklers. Susan, are you able to hear me? Just want to know if I could, talk about anything else other than this or any questions, I'd require your assistance here, please. Hi, Susan. Any of you there on the call? Any students? Megan, Josie? I hope I've covered what you had requested. Anything that you would like me to go over again? I hope all of you are able to hear me. Thank you, Josie. So I'm not sure if Susan's able to hear me. It'd be nice if one of you can reach out to Susan because I don't have Susan's number here. I hope Susan is. I'm just going to, in the meantime, show you all one more thing that is available in uLaw, which our paralegals really love, is our court forms. So under court forms, there's several area of practices, including small claims, landlord-tenant boards, POA, HTA, and, there's other legal practices, legal areas. Part of it is, let's say, HTA here. We have red light camera that we did today. So anything that you see coming soon, they're probably updating the form. But let's say that I have something here, the affidavit, then you can download it. Yeah, that's the affidavit. You can just open that and you can get that filled out too. So some of the details will be auto-populated. Now today I was pretty lazy to add the addresses and other details, but let's say if you added the addresses and other details, they come out here quickly, and that saves you a lot of time. And other details such as the defendants, plaintiffs, everything is probably entered in here and for you to take a look at. All these forms are updated from time to time for respective area of practices. And if you find anything interesting, do let us know, and I'd be happy to share information on the email to all of you. And of course, through Susan. But other than that, compliance tab is available on each and every section, right from contacts, where you can see it under the document generation, compliance over here from conflict check, to the matters, which has again another set of compliance for retainer letters, to the statements and closing letters. All of them are downloadable with one click. And most important of all is accounts, where you have the monthly compliances for Law Society, right from client's trust to the general to the reconciliations, everything again downloadable in one click. I request all of you to please explore this. If you have uLawPractice account at your end, do let us know if you have any questions. You can always reach out to us on live chats. There's support email IDs that I can probably share with all of you here. And also follow us on our social media websites, pages, where you could probably get in touch with one of our agents, and also follow us for more new features, learning that we keep having, because I haven't even spoken about AI and machine learning that we have introduced with all these docketing, speech to text, so many new features that we have done to enhance the overall look of uLaw. So if you all have time as students, we would be pleased to have you follow our pages on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and Twitter. Show us more support, and also at the same time learn all new features that we keep upgrading our program with. At this moment, I'd like to thank all of you to be attending today's session. I'm going to be keeping it open for another 5 minutes. If you all have any questions, please do email us or use the chat window. I've given the email ID on the chat window, or please use the chat window to ask any questions over the next 5 minutes. Thank you all and have a wonderful evening. Look forward to hearing back from Susan, hopefully. And if any of you are able to reach out to her, please do let us know that I would be sharing the recording sooner. Thank you.